The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Monarch Fantasy. Get the 1K and deposit match, which is on Monarch Fantasy, promo code SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's currently Saturday afternoon, July 12th, around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm also Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to break down the men's final in Wimbledon. So we're going to break down the matchup between Sinner and Alcaraz taking place on Sunday. For that, though, reminder, you can help support the show by like, subscribing to YouTube. Reminder, also leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. So podcast available in a couple of ways. You get the audio format only, Spotify and Apple. Check out the video format as well on YouTube and on Twitter, actually, simulcasting on the SGPN Twitter account. Either way, though, you can help support the show by like, subscribing on YouTube. And a reminder, you also leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. Plus, a reminder, we have merch on the merch store. Check out the SGPN website to go to the merch store and check out all the shirts, sweatshirts, and mugs that we have for the Tennis Gambling Podcast. Recommend getting it. Very cheap, very affordable, and very comfortable. So recommend getting yourself something there. Plus, a reminder, we do have a free app for all the picks and podcasts on the network. Check out the actual SGPN app and check out the SGPN feeds on Spotify or Apple. So all of the podcasts are on those feeds, and you can also find all the podcasts on the app, all free to download, so keep that in mind. Now, anyway, starting off with the actual recap of the last couple of episodes, we ended up skipping the men's semifinal recap, including the lock and dog picks on that episode, because we're going to try to keep it consistent with the men's Wimbledon. So we skipped over that. However, we also did an episode for the women's final yesterday, and we had a great couple of episodes. We actually won everything for the lock and dog picks a couple episodes ago. For the men's semis, a nice sweep. We had Sinner to win the first set and the match at minus 116. Never in doubt, Sinner coasted in the first set and the match as he won straight sets. Dog, nice, easy winner there as well. We had Alcaraz to win and Fritz to win a set, and that combo was plus 130. Never in doubt, Fritz won the second set. Alcaraz coasted in the end, and he probably should have lost the fourth set, but we ended up seeing him survive the tiebreak as he won in 4. So once again, a nice overall sweep for us on the men's semis episode. For the women's final, really does not get any easier than that. We had Swiatek minus 3.5 games for the lock at minus 115. And for the dog, we had Swiatek in straight sets at plus 105. Now, segueing into the women's final, I'll do that first, then the men's semis, because that's more, I'd say, appropriate for the actual episode itself, being the men's final and all. Swiatek ended up winning her first ever Wimbledon title, and she cashed all of her bets. In fact, it was one of the ugliest tennis matches I've ever seen. It was depressing. Swiatek won, so once again, congratulations to her first Grand Slam title in a while. She won 6-0, 6-0. Did not drop a single game. A double bagel in the final of a Grand Slam. Anisimova won the same amount of games as all of us combined. But either way, it was over very quickly. Swiatek, though, did win the final set in the semis against Bencic 6-0, and she won the final 2 games of the first set against Bencic, which means that Swiatek ended a Grand Slam tournament by winning 20 straight games. 20 straight. 3 straight 6-0 sets to end the event. I've never seen anything like it. It's one of the most dominating stretches of tennis of all time, men's or women's. That's almost impossible. You win 3 straight sets 6-0 in the semis and the final of a Grand Slam event. That might never happen again. Like, that is insane to think about either way. Swiatek destroyed her. Anisimova beat Sabalenka, so at least she has that in her back pocket. But damn, that match was ugly. And on the bright side for Anisimova, at least she made $2 million. She got $2 million for losing 6-0, 6-0 in the final. So at least there's that for her. But damn, that was an ass kicking. I got really nothing else to say. Swiatek, I said, when she's on her game, is number 1 in the world. And I don't really know what else to say besides kind of I told you so, because that's just an absolute ass-kicking to the highest degree. And Anisimova never stood a chance. Like, I don't have anything else to add there. For Swiatek, she played well. Anisimova wasn't great by any means, but I didn't think she was god-awful. It felt like Swiatek was just playing her A-game and was in a certain rhythm, a certain zone, where she would have beaten anybody on court that day. But Anisimova, look, it's her second ever Grand Slam final. She made a great comeback to even get here because of the mental health concerns she's had over the years. I'm happy for her that she made it this far in Wimbledon. She beat Sabalenka. She went on a great run, etc. But damn, nobody's going to think about that when they think about this final. I feel like every now and then you see a match. It's not really fair, but we do this with athletes in different sports as well. There's one moment that you think of when it comes to their entire careers. For example, if you want to go Bill Buckner for the Red Sox, solid overall first baseman. Nobody cares because of the ground ball that went through his legs. If you want to go for basketball, you could even go for the J.R. Smith play with him dribbling around, LeBron looking at him. He had a solid career. That's the first play you think of when it comes down to his entire career. Anisimova, unless she wins a Grand Slam, she will always be associated with being double bageled in a Grand Slam final. Fair or not, that's what her legacy is right now, and I really think it's going to take a Grand Slam title to change that. It was rough. I mean, I got nothing else to add. You played 12 games, you lost all 12 games. I'm actually not sure she even had a game point in any of the games. I actually want to check that out for a second. Did she even have a game point in any of these? She had no game points in the second set. That's not a good sign. First set, she did. She had 2 game points in the 0-2 game. So she had 2 game points in the entire match. No game points in the final set and a half. That is, that's not good. I mean, that's really not good. I got nothing else to add. We swept the lock and dog picks. Swiatek killed her. We thought she would. I thought she'd win like 6-2, 6-4. Something that looked kind of blowoutish, but also respectable. I mean, that was bad. I see Ginger mentioning that she did have a couple of advantages. That was in the game I was talking about. She had the 2 advantages in the 0-2 service game. That was the only 2 that she actually had in the entire match. She had 0 game points the entire second set. I don't think I'll see a more lopsided match in a Grand Slam semi or final in a long time. And you can't even throw in the injury excuse in there, where somebody's like crawling around the court and they're playing because they don't want to retire in a Grand Slam. Kind of like Musetti when he lost that set 6-0 to Alcaraz and he was crawling around the court before he eventually retired. Fully healthy 6-0, 6-0 in a final is something that you might really not see again. The last time that happened in a Grand Slam final was Graf in 89, I believe, in the French Open. I got really nothing else to say. I mean, yeah, nice job by Swiatek winning 20 in a row. When she's on, she's number 1 in the world for a good reason. If you want to attach the steroids or not in there, kind of fitting, though, that Swiatek won a title after the steroid stuff and Sinner's in a Wimbledon final after similar steroid stuff. To be honest, these Swiatek allegations were worse, but the point is you're looking at Swiatek and Sinner, who cheated and then made it back to a Grand Slam final, 1-1-1. We'll see what happens on Sunday with Sinner. So apparently they were good before steroids too. Keep that in mind. But anyway, point is, nice job by Swiatek getting the job done there, catching the lock and dog. We also ended up sweeping the men's semifinal episode. So segueing into the men's semifinal recap there, we got everything right. Really nothing else to add. We picked Alcaraz to win in 4. I know that was mentioned in the comments section. Alcaraz in 4 was around plus 240. That got there. Probably should have won 5. Fritz did not really fall apart in the breaker, but he didn't do enough to really just take the racket completely out of Alcaraz's hands, and Alcaraz made a couple of very nice shots to actually win and come back in the 4th set breaker. The issue that I had with Fritz, the late stages of that breaker, he came to the net on one of those shots. It was a short ball by Alcaraz. He came to the net, and I thought that it was just a bad decision because Fritz had won about 50% of his net points, and I get that he was trying to hit a pretty solid shot just to actually move in. I didn't think he did enough with it for the approach, and it gave Alcaraz a good opportunity to get back into the point to win it. But Fritz didn't really mess up the breaker, but he could have done a better job at closing out some points. But Alcaraz did come back, won the breaker, fought off a set point, and got the job done there in 4. And for the other matchup, same thing as the French Open. I said it to a T. Djokovic will never beat Sinner again, and I've been saying that for a year. And it happened again, because we saw in the French Open, Joker went down swinging. Every set was close. He ended up losing. Sinner killed him. Djokovic was cruelly injured from the Kaboli split that he did towards the end of that matchup. Thought it would be a bit of a concern. Sinner coasted in the first set and the second set. Third set, Joker actually went up 3-0 and had a breakpoint chance for 4-0. Did not convert. and actually did not win a game again. Or he ended up winning one more game, sorry. So Joker was up 3-0, lost 6 of the last 7 games, GG, and he ended up losing in straight sets. Nothing else to add. I mean, Joker was banged up. He started serving volleying at some point because he couldn't move, and it was really upsetting to watch. On the bright side, Joker did announce that will not be his last Wimbledon. He said he plans on coming back next year, so Joker will not be retiring, according to him, at the end of the season, which is nice to hear. But Sinner is too good. You're not going to end up seeing a situation for Joker to beat Sinner unless he's injured. We know Joker beat Alcaraz in the Aussie Open. That one makes a bit more sense because Alcaraz's level can fluctuate pretty heavily. When he's on, he's really, really good. He's best player in the world when Alcaraz is in full flow state. The problem is you're looking at Alcaraz and what he's done, for example, in Wimbledon. He can fumble sets. Alcaraz, we know, his shot selection can be questionable. He can definitely mess up some easy returns. The second serve can be problematic for him as well, and we have seen him drop some sets. So, for example, Joker beating Alcaraz in 4, very impressive in the Australian Open. That one actually does make some sense, but Sinner's not like that. Sinner's not the kind of guy who will be punting sets away with unforced errors. Sinner's floor is extremely high, and you're looking at Djokovic, who I don't think is better at anything than Sinner at the stage in his career. You could argue maybe movement, but Sinner's movement's pretty good too. I think it's a really bad matchup for Joker. It's why I said he'd never beat Sinner again. It's been a blowout most of the time they've played. And yeah, we saw that again in the semis in Wimbledon. So Joker's going to come back next year. His only chance at winning a Grand Slam is if Sinner gets hurt, and maybe he could beat Alcaraz if he's healthy. Maybe. I'm not going to fully write off Joker and say that he's completely dead against Alcaraz. I would pick Alcaraz to win in a 3-5 set match. But I do think if you're asking who Djokovic has a better chance against, hypothetically, in a Grand Slam final, it's Alcaraz instead of Sinner. He's never going to beat Sinner. It's just not going to happen at this stage in his career. In their primes, I think Joker would beat him. But right now, in 2025, 2026, he's not beating Sinner. Sinner's too good. And I think that, in theory, that could be a potential opportunity for Djokovic to win a Grand Slam, is if Sinner loses and maybe Alcaraz is not fully dialed in. But in reality, he's probably not winning another one. I've accepted that reality. He's my favorite player of all time. It is what it is. Alcaraz and Sinner are too high of level. But Joker did prove in the in the gold medal match in Paris last year and in the Aussie Open this year, he can beat Alcaraz. I'm not going to fully say that Djokovic is dead in that hypothetical matchup. Sinner, though, he's got no chance. That's just it. He's got no chance of beating Sinner, and I'll keep betting Sinner against Djokovic every time because it's basically free money. Anyway, nothing else to really add there. Of course, it was a bit of a dud for the semis. The first match was quite good. Could have went 5 sets to make it even better, but Alcaraz winning a competitive 4-set affair was expected. The Sinner one was a massive letdown to most people. I saw it coming. I picked Sinner in straight sets. I thought there was value on it. Same thing with the French Open, and it's a bad matchup for Joker. So really not a shock here for the final matchup. We have the two best players by a mile in the world with Alcaraz and Sinner again after the crazy epic that we saw in the French Open. If this match holds a candle to that final in the French Open, we are going to be very privileged because that was an all-time great title match, one of the best matches of all time, and now they get an immediate chance at redemption for Sinner and an immediate chance at, I'd say, once again, doubling up on the, rivalry dominance by Alcaraz if he wins this one, and it would be his third straight Wimbledon title, as Sinner looks for his first ever Wimbledon title. But either way, thinking of anything else worth talking about, I don't really have much. I feel like it was very straightforward for the semis. We got everything right, so nothing else to really read into. Fritz, I think, is a good player. He's not at the level of Alcaraz or Sinner. He's not going to win a Grand Slam. He's not good enough. It just is what it is. So you're looking at what I mentioned, this parallel that I ended up kind of noticing in the semis before that when we did the actual episode for it. We're basically back into men's tennis back in like early mid-2000s, where two people, Federer and Nadal, and in this case Alcaraz and Sinner, just run the entire tour, and you're kind of waiting for the occasional guy to show up. A Cilic might win one, although Potra might win one. You get what I'm saying? I know Wawrinka won a couple and Murray won a couple, but you're kind of waiting for that other player to step up, the next up-and-comer, who can occasionally challenge either guy. Right now, we just don't have that. I know back in the day, you still had Leighton Hewitt. You still had a couple of other really solid players. We really don't have that right now. Zverev, what nobody trusts. Fritz isn't good enough. I know he made the U.S. Open final. He got killed by Sinner in straight sets. You can go down the line. There's really not anybody worth a damn besides the top two players and Djokovic as the second tier by himself. That's basically it. I got nothing else to add. You can group all the same generation guys together. Zverev, Medvedev did win one, so at least there's that for Medvedev. But the point is, you're looking at those two, Rune, Ruud. You would never take any of them to win a Grand Slam. It just wouldn't happen. Medvedev, I know, already won one, but now, no. I don't think he'd win another one at this stage in his career, especially that he's been playing lately, dropping in the first round of Grand Slams recently. Now, for the outrights, for the men's episode, we won everything. We got every quarter right, and for the outrights to win the event, we have Alcaraz at plus 120, and we have Sinner at plus 200. We went pure chalk. We took nobody else, because why the hell would you take anybody else? And we ended up getting a guaranteed winner for the Grand Slam final, so we are already set for the second straight Grand Slam of picking Alcaraz and Sinner. We did well for ourselves, and there you go. I got nothing else to add. Once again, it's played out completely chalky. We saw a bunch of upsets early in the first and second rounds of the men's Wimbledon to other seeds, but nobody worth a damn because nobody's going to beat Alcaraz or Sinner. And here we are. So there we go. We have the fun match, the one that better be better than the women's final that we saw on Saturday. But it should be a fun matchup, and I'll mention the odds in a second. But either way, point is definitely a very entertaining I'd say, collection of performances from Sinner and Alcaraz. They've looked really good. Sinner has looked more dominant. I know that he got bailed out by the injury to Dimitrov, but besides that, he's not dropped a set, so he's been rolling. But either way, a point is definitely should be a fun final. I'm hoping it's anywhere near as good as the French Open final, but I guess we'll find out on Sunday. Anyway, before we get into the actual breakdown of the men's final between Alcaraz and Sinner, reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Circa. It's still hosting the football contest for Circa Million Circa Survivor. If you want to enter, $21 million guaranteed prizes. There's no rake, so if the entries go above the guarantee, all the extra money will be added to the prize pool. Circa Million, pick 5 teams ATS each week. Go for the ultimate sweat Circa Survivor. You can even enter the Circa Rendissimo, a 100K Circa Survivor contest. Must register in person at Circa in Nevada. And a reminder, sign up in Nevada, play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com, use code SGP, get $50 off your proxy fees. We're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag because they're available in a ton of locations. Use crypto for fast payouts. Use positive sign up, though. You could use the book for a bunch of different sports. They have tennis, of course. They have MLB. They have WNBA. They have golf. They have football futures. And a reminder, you could always use the promo code SGPN when you sign up for a new account to get a 100% off the match up to 1K. Terms and conditions apply. MyBookie.ag promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the recap of the women's final and the men's semis. Time to move on into the preview of the main event of the entire tournament, the final, a rematch of Sinner and Alcaraz. Now, a reminder, they faced off in the French Open, and of course, we know Alcaraz had the insane comeback, fought off multiple championship points, and was down 2-0, came back, and he won in 5. Now, I do want to point out, they actually have faced off before in Wimbledon, faced off in 2022, and Sinner did win in 4 sets. So that was dated about 3 years ago, but they have faced off on the courts here, and Sinner did win the only meeting. Does it matter? Maybe, maybe not, by mentioning it, as that was actually the last time I believe that Alcaraz lost in Wimbledon, because he won in 23, 24, and he's in the final at 25. So there we go. Alcaraz took that loss personally to Sinner, did not lose since in Wimbledon, and we'll see how he does in the final here against Sinner. Now, for the actual odds here, it is a pure coin toss, minus 110 both sides. If you want to go for the over-under, I see 40.5 at minus 120. For the set spread, I see Sinner minus 1.5 sets at around plus 170. Alcaraz minus 1.5 sets is around, trying to find it here, same price, plus 170. The over 4.5 sets is plus 170 as well. The over 3.5 sets is minus 285. The over have a tie break is minus 260. Now, for the head-to-head, we know Alcaraz has been very good in the head-to-head against Sinner. Sinner basically beats everybody except for Alcaraz and, I guess in this case, Bublik in Halle on grass. But you get my point. The point is Sinner really never loses to anybody besides Alcaraz, and we'll see if he can get some revenge for the French Open choke job that happened there about a month ago. For the head-to-head, though, I've said it before, Alcaraz has been quite good in the head-to-head. He's up 7-3. And going through the actual meetings here, Alcaraz has won, just pulling it up right now, 5 of the last 6 in the head-to-head. Face-off in the French Open, Alcaraz won in 5. Face-off in Rome this year as well, and Alcaraz won in 5. That was a title match there. Face-off in an exhibition in Saudi last year, and Sinner did win in 3. Exhibition, though, so not really an ATP level match. So Alcaraz has won 5 in a row in terms of ATP caliber matches, but he won in Beijing in 3. He also won in the French Open semis last year in 5. He won Indian Wells in 3. So the last time Sinner's actually won an ATP match against Alcaraz was Beijing 2023. It's been a long time. But the point is, on grass, they faced off one time before. And I said before, Sinner did win in 4. So the question is, will Sinner be able to get revenge? Will he be able to get the job done and to win his first ever Wimbledon title? Now, for the actual path of both players, I mentioned this before, but I'll go through it again. Sinner has looked better throughout the course of the event. Yes, I know he got bailed out by the injury to Dimitrov. I get it. It's the only match, though, that he's ever dropped a set in so far in the run. Beat Nardi in 3, beat Vukic in 3, beat Martinez in 3. An absolute gift, by the way, of 3 rounds. I mean, that's an absolute joke of a path. So Dimitrov was his first test, and he kind of failed miserably, but he got bailed out by the Dimitrov injury as he ended up tearing his pec while serving in the 3rd set. Beat Shelton in straight sets and beat Djokovic in straight sets. So it seems like after dropping the first 2 sets to Dimitrov, Sinner flipped the switch and said, all right, it's time to actually play against good competition and time to raise my level. And he's not dropped a set since. So he's dropped 2 sets in 1 overall match. That's it. The rest has been pure 3-0 chalk. Now, for Alcaraz, it's been the opposite. He's been dropping sets left and right. I dropped a set to Fritz, dropped a set to Rublev, dropped a set to Struff, but he did win in straight sets against Norrie in the quarters and against Tarvit in the second round. Did drop 2 sets to Fognini, though, in his last ever match. So based on the eye test and based on current form, I know Alcaraz played well against Fritz. It's tough to evaluate Sinner because Djokovic was so injured that Sinner looked very good, but it was definitely a 50% Djokovic. So it's really tough to fully evaluate how good Sinner was playing based on his level there. He was serving very well, and I thought that he looked good in every point, but Djokovic couldn't move, so it's kind of difficult to evaluate, but he looked great against Shelton the round prior. So for the eye test, I think Sinner's looked better so far in this event, and Cayetano's mentioning that Sinner's played against guys who've been injured, so he's been on the court for less time. So you could argue stamina might matter. I doubt it does. Alcaraz is the best 5th set player of all time, and Sinner is really not a good 5th set player at all. So that's one of the issues I have with Sinner in what could be a marathon, and I mentioned this for the French Open. If this match goes extremely long, goes over 4 hours, and you end up in a 5th set, it's tough to pick against Alcaraz because Alcaraz is, as of right now, the marathon king. He wins all the time in 5th sets. He's the best 5th set player of all time. He took the title from Nishikori, and he's been kind of running with it ever since. Alcaraz in the 5th set of matches. I want to make sure I got this right. I just want to see what his record is. So Alcaraz in the 5th set is 13-1. 13-1 in the 5th set of a match, which is insane to me. So there you go. He's either 15-1, he's actually either 13-1 or 14-1. I'm not sure if that counts the Sinner match, but the point is Alcaraz in a 5th set is basically a guaranteed W, which means Sinner has to put it away early. Rocky 3 style. He's got to put it away early, and he's going to have to win in 3 or 4. Now, I do think that Sinner, if it went to 5, I understand maybe he could pull it off because he is still the best player in the world, or he's top 2, and you could argue which one's better. I'm not going to go against the guy that's 13-1 or 14-1 in a 5th set of battle, so I do think Sinner is going to have to win early. I think for the sake of this matchup, by the way, Cayetano, that was not the Olympics. The Olympics was only 2 sets. Djokovic beat him 2 breakers, but that was not a 5-set matchup. That was only 2 out of 3, and Joker won in straight sets. So that was not the Olympics. To be honest, I forgot who Alcaraz actually lost to in the 5th set that I'm trying to think of. Who do you lose to in the 5th set? I don't remember, to be honest. But either way, he's won every 5th set besides 1. So the question is, can Sinner actually exercise his demons, basically, and finally beat this damn guy who is not beaten on an ATP level in over a year and a half. So for this matchup, I think the price is fair. I think that Sinner, you could argue, is maybe a little bit cheap based on the eye test, but it's tough to evaluate because Joker's was so injured that it didn't matter. And Dimitrov got injured too, so he got bailed out. So I think minus 110 sounds about right for both guys. For the matchup itself, I've said this every single time they play against each other, just take the over. Like, I feel like people try to make it so difficult for themselves, trying to actually predict who's going to win the match, what's going to happen here. Every match is a war. They kill each other every time. Just bet the over. I feel like until one of these matches actually goes under, why would you not just keep betting the over? We saw in the French Open they killed each other. I expect the same thing to happen in this one. Tiebreak's minus 260. So if you end up getting, for example, a 7-6 and even some 6-3s and 6-4s in there and it goes 4 sets, you still go over. So I do think you're going to see both players serve pretty well. I do think that both guys have served well for the event so far, and based on what's expected to be a breaker at least, and what should be at least 4 sets, because the tiebreak is minus 260, and the over 3.5 sets is minus 280. You're probably looking at 4 sets with no blowout sets in there, which bodes well for the over. I like the over in this one. It's pretty simple. I see a minus 110 line, 2 very evenly matched players. Give me another war. Give me the over as my main thought for this one. For the actual side, though, I think I'm going to take Sinner. I think I'm going to do it. Okay, so according to Cayetano, it was Berrettini, actually, in the Aussie Open 2022. I would not have guessed that, ever. I just don't remember that at all. I'm pretty sure Berrettini got his ass kicked by Nadal right after that, and then Nadal... Was that the event Nadal beat Medvedev and he came back from 2 sets down? It might have been. I think that might have been that event, but I do not remember that at all. So there you go. But anyway, point is, for the sake of the matchup, I like the over because why not? Don't fix what isn't broken. For the matchup itself, I know people want to go Alcaraz because of the head-to-head history and because of Sinner getting bailed out against Dimitrov and Djokovic. He would have beaten Djokovic anyway. Sorry to tell you this, but he's better than Djokovic at this stage in their careers. I'm going Sinner in this one. For the last event, I did pick Alcaraz in 5 in the French Open. I got that right to a T. I'll go Sinner in 4 in this one. I think Alcaraz has played well. I think he's had a couple of slip-ups, and I do think against Sinner, you can't get away with those. Sinner, I think, is going to be extremely... I don't know if motivated is the right word, because Alcaraz has motivation too, because it's a Grand Slam final. But Sinner had it in the bag in the French Open, which was allegedly his worst surface entering the event. And he was up 2-0, and he had 3 championship points against Alcaraz, and he still had a chance to win in the 5th set before blowing it. So I think Sinner, once again, people might be so focused on the head-to-head dominance from Alcaraz, they might be blinded by that type of aspect in their head-to-head. I think Sinner's look better, in my opinion. I think Sinner's serve is better. I think the court speeds with grass in general do play into Sinner's favor. Yes, I know that Alcaraz won 2 in a row. I didn't forget that he won Wimbledon twice in a row. But if you're asking stylistically who I think benefits more from the fast-paced courts, I actually think it's Sinner, as controversial as that might sound. So I'll go with Sinner in this one. I think Sinner wins in 4. That's my thoughts for this one. If Alcaraz won, would I be shocked? Of course not. They're minus 110 apiece. But if you're asking who I would pick to win this one, I think Sinner gets revenge. I don't think it's easy. I think it's quite messy. But I think Sinner does enough in terms of his actual service games to hold more easily than Alcaraz. And I think that'll get the job done. For this one, might be a couple breakers in this one. Wouldn't shock me either. Give me Alcaraz in once again, what should be a set, maybe 2 sets he wins. I don't think it goes 5, though. I think that people are expecting it to go 5. But I do think Sinner will be able to get some revenge after losing in the French Open. I think that his overall firepower and consistency will do enough to win a couple sets against Alcaraz. And I think unlike the French Open, Sinner will not choke. Give me Sinner to win this one in 4. I like the over. I think Sinner wins, though. I think there's some value for the over especially. For the, once again, sides, if you want to go for some value, minus 110 is really not a great price for either guy. So maybe you want to look for a combo of Sinner to win and both players to win a set. Some type of combo there. Could be good money there. But either way, I think Sinner does win. I think he is, in my opinion, a player that is in better form than Alcaraz, as controversial as that sounds. I do think that Sinner will win, and I think it'll be fun. But give me the over and give me Sinner for the final. So going to wrap it up, though, for the preview of the final. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. For that, the reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Underdog Fantasy, because they're still doing Best Ball Mania, happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million for first place. No waiver wire. No arguments about trades. Best ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog's also a great place to play pick'em. If you want to do some entries, and a reminder, you can always sign up at Underdog Fantasy with promo code SGPN to get a special pick and first time that offer up to 1K in bonus cash on fantasy promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm because they have power trends now. Essentially the best of the best when it comes to house model plays. They are ATP patterns. Rhythm's models will give you the best plays that they have. And a reminder that they are updated every day. There are exclusive to Rhythm, so check that out if you want to get some free model picks. And a reminder, their trends have been really good recently. Power trends in baseball, 63% hit rate, ROI 4.5% in the past 400 bets. WNBA, though, 35 and 20 since launch. 63% of the hit rate has been definitely cashing, so 20.7% ROI, so you're making a lot of money blindly backing these Rhythm trends. Down the Rhythm app, check out Power Trends, start betting smarter. And a reminder, you can always check out the actual platform for free for a week. Based on 7-day free trial, go to sportsgamble.com Rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finish going through the preview of the final between Sinner and Alcaraz in Wimbledon. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For the lock, I'm going to go back to a reliable here. When these two get together, I'm going to go with it every time. Give me the over, because why would I ever take the under? You're looking at that history. It's been very close. Alcaraz usually wins, but when he does, it's a marathon, and I see that happening either way. 5 of the last 6 meetings have not ended in straight sets. They had a marathon in the French Open this year, a marathon in the French Open last year. They even went to 4 sets in the only Wimbledon meeting a couple years ago. They will kill each other, no matter who wins. So based on that, give me the over. Think that if you end up getting, for example, a situation where Alcaraz looks good, but does drop a set. He's dropped at least 1 set in 5 of the last 7. He's been winning, but not dominant, and I think that Sinner will get on the board in this one minimum. I think Alcaraz, though, will raise his level 2 and get on the board as well. But simply put, if you're looking at a tiebreak being a minus 260, over 3.5 sets at minus 280, why would I not just take the over 40.5? You're probably getting a breaker in there. You're expecting each set to probably have 9+ games in it. And if you end up getting, for example, a 7-6 with a 6-3, a 6-3, and a 6-4, you still get the 41. So I do think that a pretty straightforward 4-set matchup with a breaker is still a reasonable outcome, and you go over that. 5-setters, you're basically guaranteed to cash the over. But give me a marathon again, because we've seen constant marathons. 5 of the last 6 have been epics, and I see that happening again. Give me the over as my lock for this matchup. For the dog, I'm going to go with a spread, actually. Give me Sinner, a minus half a game at plus 100. I think it's a decent price. We know Sinner can win in dominant fashion in terms of sets. Alcaraz can too, but Alcaraz has been dropping some sets recently. I think Sinner can jump him early. I do think that Alcaraz, in theory, could actually win the match and end up losing the spread, because Alcaraz could win a final set breaker, for example. Sinner ends up dominating a set or 2 early, but I do think that Sinner has looked consistently better throughout the event. He's only dropped a set 1 time in the event so far. Dropped 2 sets against Dimitrov. He's won in straight sets every other matchup. Alcaraz, though, has dropped 5 sets in the event so far to 4 different opponents. So you're looking at Alcaraz being vulnerable. I think that Sinner can find a way to win a lopsided set and maybe even lose the match. But in theory, I do think that Sinner covering the spread makes sense. If he wins the match, he should cover the spread. But in theory, there's a path for him to cover this number while also not winning the match outright if there's a lopsided set in there. They faced off, though, in Wimbledon 3 years ago. Sinner won in 4. All 3 sets were lopsided that he won. The 1 set he lost was a breaker. Only grass head-to-head meeting. But simply put, I think Sinner can definitely cash this in a couple of ways. I like getting plus money, or even money in this case, backing a realistic outcome for me. I'm picking Sinner to win, so I'll take the spread instead for a better price, because you can get there in a couple of ways. So once again, the plays here for the men's final in Wimbledon, I'm going to go with Alcaraz and Sinner over. 40.5 games, minus 120 is my lock. For my dog, give me Sinner, minus half a game at plus 100. It's going to wrap it up for the show. Bunch of tennis coming up next week. We have Los Cabos, we have Gstaad, and we have Bastad. So 3 events coming up. We have 1 hard court and 2 clay events. Los Cabos, though, is going to be a pretty difficult tournament to cover because all the matches will be taking place very late. So we might have to punt on the coverage of that event post-outright episode. But Gstaad and Bastad will be around for as it's European clay season again. So check that out. Going to come out in a day or two. But until next time, find me on Twitter, Radio. Good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.